Hello, everyone. My name is Claire Fitzgerald, and welcome to my podcast. First of all, I'd just like a little disclaimer. I am sick, so if I sound nasally or gross, that's the reason why. I've tried to put this off and recording until I feel better, but I'm running out of time, so here we go. The speech that I chose to write about is the Donald Trump speech I think it was in what is it, Manaheim? I don't know how to pronounce that, Pennsylvania. And this is one of the first presidential speeches that I thought it was good in the sense that I think personally that Donald Trump he can convince a crowd. So I thought this one was pretty cool. So with that said, the dirty tricks that I had were 33 and 34, which are 33 is rewrite history, and this one I thought was kind of interesting because, especially in these presidential elections, each president candidates um, they love to talk about the past history and kind of mold it to the way that they kind of feel how it is, kind of manipulate their viewers and their audience and kind of distort it in a way that is self-justifying. And then the second one, number 34, is seek your vested interest. And this one I thought was also very interesting because the manipulator attacks the opponent's motivation. And hello, that is basically what Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton did in every speech of theirs. All they did was attack each other. So I thought these two would be pretty interesting to write about, especially talking about the presidential elections. So, starting off, in this speech, Donald Trump that he gave, it was very well spoken in a way that the audience was engaged to the fullest, and I really was listening to the words, and I had to actually watch it a few times to actually go back and to write down some notes about things because I was fully drawn in that I totally forgot about. Oh, wait, this is an assignment. I need to actually be critically thinking and paying attention to this. So it took me about three times through it so I could get, little notes down to talk about. So with that said, um, let's see here. Yeah, so he starts attacking almost, right away Hillary Clinton, and he explains that she's a crook and she's a criminal, and that the email scandal and how it shocked the nation and she should be in prison and all this stuff. And so I thought that was a pretty good example of seek your vested interest because he is, criticizing Hillary Clinton's motivation, and he's criticizing, how is she able to even run as president when she has, criminal charges against her, and it really like gets people to think, wow, maybe she isn't, you know, um, liable to be a president. Maybe we don't want her there because you make you think, you know, oh, like you get questions. So, and this happened in both speeches because I was following the presidential election and in the debates, and so it didn't matter who I was for or against, but each speech I would listen to, I'd be like, oh, they have a point. And so the manipulation of it is incredible because by the end of you listening to the speech, you are already questioning, oh, wait, yeah, maybe they're right. And so I thought this seek your vested interest trick number 34 was a very useful way to, manipulate your, crowd. And another kind of example not having to do with the presidential election is in everyday life, we have manipulations, we have commercials, we have propaganda for anything. And really, it gets you to question things and kind of dig deeper into something and not just see it at a surface level. And for an example of dirty trick number, let's see here, oh yes, rewrite history, number 33. Um, so of course, let's see. Sorry, someone rang the doorbell, and I am not going to be answering that because I am in the middle of my podcast. Back on track here, number 33. Yes, okay. So this one I thought was kind of less obvious and harder to find in this speech because it's rewrite history. And the one thing that, of course, Donald Trump was doing it in the whole speech, but I wanted to find something that was, concrete. And so what I found was that he talked about President Obama's Obamacare and how he's going to repeal it and fix it and get rid of it because it was so horrible and something that needs to be in the past and we never need to talk about again. So I thought that was pretty interesting because it's not really history yet, but he wants to get rid of it, and he says it's horrible and it's hurt so many Americans. It's not even helping us, it's hurting us. So I thought that was kind of an interesting example there. And he also didn't just talk about, the recent quote unquote history, but he also talked about, how in the last 8 years, you know, in the Republicans' eyes, our country has just gone down horribly. And it's just getting worse and worse, and we have more chaos, and it's just more unorganized, and, having Democrats in, the office is just, it's just horrible. And so the way he is looking at he's kind of rewriting our history is the way he looks at it is, the last 8 years was horrible and we need to get on track and get fixed with it. But maybe not everyone agrees with him. So I thought, that was kind of, I guess, kind of a interesting way to look at the rewrite history because he's manipulating people to think that our history is horrible. When, in some people's eyes, it's been the best 8 years of their life. So there you can kind of see as master manipulators, they can really, kind of make you feel like, oh, they second guess, oh, maybe that isn't how the United States has been running in the last 8 years. I thought it was great, but maybe not. And so, an example of this in everyday life, everyone, rewrites their own history. Or, I kind of was thinking of the best example that I could think of is, in our life, there may have been things that's happened before that are maybe more severe or maybe not less or not as severe that are impact us. And, later on we think about them and we're like, oh, well, maybe that wasn't as bad. And you try to, kind of manipulate yourself into thinking that, oh, that wasn't that bad. Oh, but this is worse. And kind of rewriting and replaying the way everything happened. So that's kind of the best example that I kind of thought of. And so, yeah, with that said, I thought the speech was pretty good in the sense that at the end of it, he was convincing me, and I was like, oh, and I was trying to, actually think like, oh wait, what are my views? Who do I agree with? And so I think that this speech has been, or had many great strategies, and not only are they just the two that I was assigned or picked for myself, but, I was going through all of the dirty tricks and I was like, oh wow, maybe this speech, I could be picking any one of these dirty tricks and be talking about them, but specifically to the ones that I had, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So thank you for listening to my podcast, and that wraps it up.